Man, I gotta be real with y'all. People were telling me I was being biased picking Imavov over Kyle, but come on, man. That wasn't being biased. That was just knowing that there's levels in this game. Now, on paper, yeah, it looked close. Two hype guys, both on streaks, both being called the future of 185. But once the cage doors shut, you could just see the difference. Imavov didn't even need to take this fight, bro. He was already the number one contender, okay? He could have just sat on the sidelines and waited, but instead he said, "Nah, I'm gonna go test myself against Cajo in Paris in front of my home crowd. That's a savage, and that's why he kind of deserves the next title shot." Now, as for the fight itself, I liked it. It wasn't the fight of the year or nothing, but it was a straight up banger. Not a war, not a chaos, but both dudes picking each other apart and the pace building every round. And let's be real, those first two rounds were a Imavov all day. He was just so much faster and sharper with his jab, stabbing the body with the teeps, and just beating Kyle to the punch. Kyle looked hesitant early on, I'm not gonna lie. Almost like he realized, like, damn, this dude's quicker than me. And then he backed off instead of forcing the issue. Imavov just kept touching him, controlling the distance, and clearly banked the first two rounds. Now, I'm not gonna lie, round three was where Cajo finally bit down on the mouthpiece and came forward and started letting the hooks and low kicks go. You could argue he stole that one, and I wouldn't be mad. Round four, though, that was also where Imavov showed his experience, took away Cajo's hand fighting, ripped the body every time Cajo framed, and wrapped hooks around the guard. That was a veteran round. Then round 5 came, Cajo had another push, landed some of his best shots, and even stumbled Imavov at one point. Some people gave him that round too. Me personally, I edged it to Imavov for the pressure and the volume, but if you want round 3 and round 5 for Cajo, I'm not even mad at 48-47. The only thing I didn't like about this fight was the fouls, okay? The fouls kinda killed the vibe. I mean, Imavov with the fingers out all night, Cajo with that low blow, just messy at times, man. It was just sloppy and messy. No warnings, no points, nothing. Now, did it change the result? Nah. Imavov was still the cleaner fighter, but it definitely made people annoyed, I'm not gonna lie. Free eye pokes, free nut shots. Welcome to MMA, am I right? But anyways, most people had it 49-46 Imavov. Some had 50-45, which is fucking crazy. If you gave Cajo round 3 and round 5 and made it 48-47, and that's fine too, like I mentioned earlier. But either way, Imavov won that fight, and that's what matters. And now look at the resume. Cannonier, Brendan Allen, Izzy, and now Cajo back-to-back main events. One of them in Paris with all that pressure. He's the number one contender, period. Forget waiting for Anthony Hernandez versus Rainier DeRitter. Imavov already punched his ticket. And now that brings us to the big one. Khamzat Chimaev versus Imavov. Because let's be real, that's where it's all heading. Imavov just beat Cajo when he didn't even have to. He's sitting at number 1. He strung together wins over Cannonier, Brendan Allen, Izzy, and now Brojalo. The guy's resume speaks for itself. You can't justify anyone else sliding into that spot right now. Alright? And stylistically, bro, this fight is kind of interesting. You've got one of the cleanest, fastest strikers in 185. And the scariest grappler slash wrestler we've seen at 185 in years. Imavov's hands are smooth. He moves like a bantamweight at middleweight. And he's got that patience now. He doesn't rush into exchanges. He picks his shots. And on the other side, Khamzat's a monster when he gets a hold of you. He's got that really big strength, that squeeze, and he'll drag you down over and over until you drown. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say. Bro, this fight's a waste of time, bro. Khamzat's just going to take Imavov down and hold him there for 5 rounds or just finish him early. And honestly, I get it. Nobody really seen anyone just stuff Khamzat's wrestling for long stretches, especially in the beginning. The guy gets his hands on you, and it's like being stuck under a fridge that wants to choke you. But I don't think it's that simple here. Imavov's not some easy matchup. He's hard to deal with in his own right. And he's got tricks that a lot of people kind of overlook, in my opinion. Now, that being said, yeah, I do have a hard time imagining Imavov stopping Khamzat's first wave of takedowns. And the reason why is because Brendan Allen. We all saw that fight, okay? Allen got in close, dragged Imavov down in round 1, and basically sat on top of him, controlling positions. Imavov scrambled, but he fought back. He didn't look helpless, but he definitely looked like a guy who could be held down if you chain wrestle him with elite pressure. Now, that's the part that worries me against Khamzat because Allen just showed the blueprint. If you're a strong grappler who commits, you can make Imavov spend minutes defending instead of striking. The difference is that Imavov did adjust though. After that rough first round against Allen, he came out in round 2, stuffed takedowns, even reversed it into top position, and started landing ground and pound. By round 3, he was keeping the fight standing and letting his jab go and his combos go. That tells me he can figure things out mid-fight. The issue is, with Khamzat, you don't really get that luxury of warming up if you give up your back that early or let him drag you down in the first couple of minutes. It's kind of a wrap. If not, he's just going to hold you down, put his big ass weight on you. Even if Imavov makes it out of the first round, he's not walking out there the same, okay? Grappling with Khamzat drains you fast. It's not just one takedown, it's chaining shots, leaving all that weight on you, dragging you back to the mat every time you try to get up. That takes pop right out of your strikes, dude. Let's be honest. Imavov looks slick when he's fresh. His jab is sharp, his feet are quick, but after those 5 minutes of that, he's going to look slower, a little more flat-footed, and that's when Khamzat's pressure really starts to snowball. And let's be real, Imavov isn't known for having this crazy cardio. He's not a guy that pushes a non-stop pace for 5 rounds. When fights get grindy, you can see him slowing down. Brendan Allen kind of showed that. He got him down early, and Imavov had to work hard just to get back up into rhythm. Now imagine that same situation, but it's Khamzat on top of you. That's a whole different level of pressure. The wild part is, we don't even know how good Khamzat's gas tank really is, too. People act like it's elite because he held Dricus down for 20 minutes, but let's be honest. DDP's grappling looked terrible that night. He couldn't defend anything. Khamzat didn't have to burn energy chaining attempts. He just coasted on top. Against Imavov, he might have to work harder, but even then, if those first few takedowns wear Imavov out, his speed and the sharpness won't be there in the later rounds. And look, man, let's just be honest. Imavov is getting taken down early. You just can't avoid that with Khamzat. We're talking about a dude who literally dragged Usman and Robert Whittaker, 2 guys that have way stronger takedown defense than Nassourdine. So I'm not even pretending that Imavov is just going to sprawl and brawl his way through the round 1. I'm guaranteeing that he's hitting the mat, okay? And here's the thing, man. Khamzat's not going to come in here trying to trade with Imavov. Let's be real. That'd be dumb. His whole game plan is pressure takedowns and make you carry his weight. He dragged down Usman and Robert Whittaker, 2 guys that are way better takedown defense than Imavov. So it's basically guaranteed that Nassourdine's hitting the mat early. No fantasy sprawl, no standing at range for 5 minutes. He's getting taken down. But fights don't play out perfectly, and that's where Imavov's shots come in. Even if Khamzat wants to be a pure wrestler, there's always going to be those transitioning moments. You defend a takedown and circle out. You scramble back to your feet. You reset in the center. That's when Khamzat has to strike. Even if it's just for 20 or 30 seconds at a time. And in those pockets, that's where Imavov can snipe him. Because defensively, Khamzat's wide open. His striking defense is down around the low 40s, which means he's getting touched more than half the time than guys are throwing at him. And you see it when you watch him. Chin high, wide hooks, straight line entries. He banks on the toughness and pressure, not on the clean defense. That works against guys who freeze up or who aren't sharp enough to punish it. But Imavov's whole game is built around pushing that exact style. He doesn't need to throw volume. He doesn't need chaos. He just needs one clean look, one straight shot down the pipe when Khamzat's coming in. So no, Khamzat's not going to stand and trade, but the longer this fight goes, the more those little openings start popping up between the grappling. And when Imavov's patient and accuracy, that's all it takes. One sniper shot in a reset, and suddenly the whole fight flips, okay? And that's why this fight is so tricky to call. On one hand, Imavov really does have the skill set to punish those defensive holes that Khamzat leaves. He's patient, he's accurate, and his jab is one of the sharpest at middleweight. If Khamzat gives him even a small window in a reset, or even gets lazy on an entry, that's when Imavov can snipe him and literally flip the script, okay? But here's where I keep coming back to the reality. That window might never just come. Khamzat doesn't have to give him 20 seconds of striking here and there if he's chaining takedowns together and just sitting on top of him the whole time. And with the way he just ragdolled Usman and Whitaker, I just don't see Imavov having the same level of defense or scrambling ability to consistently get back up without burning himself out. The blueprint for Khamzat is obvious: pressure, takedown, and control. So yeah, Imavov does have a chance. He's not some helpless victim, but realistically, I still favor Khamzat, okay? His style is just so physically overwhelming, and over 25 minutes, it's hard to imagine Imavov surviving long enough and staying sharp enough to find that perfect shot. Now, don't get me wrong, the sniper bullet's there, okay? No doubt about it. But against a guy like Khamzat, sometimes you never even get to pull the trigger. So if I'm keeping it real, I'd say Imavov's path is there, but it's very thin. It's a thin one, okay? He's got to survive the first round, not get mauled too bad, and use those little openings in the scrambles and reset to line Khamzat up with something straight down the middle. That's the sniper shot. Everyone keeps talking about it, okay? If it lands, we're talking about the upset of the year. But the problem is, Khamzat doesn't give you many of those chances. He's so relentless with his wrestling, so strong in the clinch, and once he drags you down, he makes you carry all that weight. Even if you get up, you're burning energy, and the first thing that goes is your speed. Imavov, without that sharpness, isn't the same fighter, dude. He just isn't. So yeah, I give him a chance, maybe a 20-25% if we're throwing numbers out there. But my pick, it's pretty obvious, man. I'm going with Khamzat. He's too much pressure, too much physicality, and too much of a gap in the grappling. Imavov can make it interesting in spots, but over 5 rounds, I think the safe money is on Khamzat smothering his way to a win, or he gets an early finish. But those are just my thoughts. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like always, guys, I'll see you guys on my next one.